A man was tortured into confessing to a murder he never committed, okay? Never committed, because the person is still alive, all right? They threatened him, they threatened his dog, and he confessed to it to save his dog. Never did it, man is alive. Cops realize what they've done now. They gotta pay this man now $100,000. With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show. Put up the picture full mass. This is a hell of a story, but it gives you an idea of police tactics and how these tactics are utilized in order to frame the innocent into looking guilty. So in California, this was back in 2018 when it first happened. Fontana Police mentally tortured Mr. Thomas Perez Jr. This was during a 17-hour direct interrogation. And they forced him to confess to a murder that never happened. Now the city has to pay dividends. He had initially contacted law enforcement because his father, who had signs of dementia, had not returned after taking the family's dog outside to get the mail. Detectives who responded interpreted Perez's behavior as suspicious and thought the home's disarray indicated a struggle. The city later wrote in court filings. Perez said in this lawsuit that the space was messy due to ongoing renovations. Detectives brought Mr. Perez Jr. to the police station the next day and accused him of killing his own father. At one point, a detective falsely told Perez that his father had been found dead and that his body was at the morgue. Quote, he has a toe tag on him, the detective said, according to the lawsuit. The detectives warned Perez that he would, quote, never see the light of day again, and that after he was in prison for killing his father, his Labrador retriever would be euthanized as a stray. We're gonna kill your dog, okay? Now, some people have problems with this kind of interrogation technique. It is brute, it is dishonest, it is manipulative. And you may wonder, do officers have the right to lie to suspects? Actually, according to the Supreme Court, yes. They can lie, they can make up these fantasy scenarios. They can say, here's what happened and we know it, in order to trick a suspect into confessing, okay? So it is legal according to the Supreme Court. Now, at one point, police allegedly brought the dog to the station and instructed Perez to say goodbye to his dog because they're gonna kill him. Perez said in the suit that he offered alternative explanations for where his father could be, including visiting a friend or Perez's sister, but the detectives failed to call the sister or try to contact his father. Detectives also refused to let Perez access medication he took for anxiety, high blood pressure, and other conditions. The lawsuit says he grew so distraught during questioning that he began tearing at his hair and his shirt and hitting himself. This is in the interrogation video. Perez eventually relented, falsely confessed to murdering his own father. Court document said, while left unattended afterward, Mr. Perez Jr. attempted to take his own life. He was then arrested, taken to a mental hospital. It was there that the false confession fell apart. Perez's sister called police to say her father was in fact alive. They would have known this if they just called the sister like he said. He had walked from his home to a train station and then took public transit to visit a friend. Even after they learned that Perez's father was alive, Perez alleged police did not immediately make it clear to him that he was free to leave the police station. In 2018, the interrogation, the police kicked off a years-long legal battle that appeared headed for trial before the city agreed to settle Perez's federal lawsuit for nearly $900,000. The city council in Fontana about 46 miles east of LA, approved the agreement this month. The settlement comes months after the city was named in another civil rights lawsuit for a 2023 incident where police officers allegedly fatally shot a man in the back while he ran away. Police say the man fled during a traffic stop and was armed with a gun, but there was no evidence that he pulled it on cops. So the former police department chief, Robert Ramsey on the left, was in charge of the department from 2016 until his retirement in May of 2018. Chief Billy Green in the center was in charge only a few months into his tenure when the incident happened. Green retired in March of 2023 to be succeeded by Chief Michael Dorsey on the right. There you go. Looks like the same person is in charge. All right. Hell of a thing, right? You get a guy, he calls the police because his father, who likely has dementia, did not come back home. He's distraught. He's nervous, not about being a suspect. He's nervous about the fact his father did not come home. Police decide to bring him to the precinct. He's more nervous now. He has anxiety medication. They refuse to allow him access. They mentally torture him. They threaten him and say that his father's already dead. And now they're going to kill his dog. He tries to commit. Here's the question. What if he was successful in committing? You would have had an individual who committed, probably still blaming himself for his father being missing in the first place, knowing he did not kill his father. But he has this guilt on him. He's being tortured, and now they're saying, in addition to that, say goodbye to your dog. These should all be outside of the arena of acceptable interrogation practices. But according to the Supreme Court, extreme measures can be taken, including lying and manipulating an individual who is suspected of a crime. But this man could have died. Thankfully, he's alive. The sister was able to verify the father is alive. And if the detectives would have did one thing, being a damn detective, all of this would have been handled properly. All right, Sharon, it looks like, obviously based on the evidence and facts, they simply wanted to pin a death to a man when no death occurred.
No death occurred. They inflicted torture and mental anguish on this individual, and I'm not sure $900,000 is enough. I don't know why the Supreme Court has given such legal authority and supremacy to a group of individuals who too often are not that bright, could not be cast in an episode of Law and Order. They could not be cast in an episode of Law and Order. This is goofy and sad. It's nonsense.
Yeah, very much so. And now you have to look at the detectives' backgrounds. If this is their MO, naturally they have done this before. This is lazy work, and obviously it should be criminal at its core. We'll follow up if there's an update to this story or those detectives.